Shopping online late at night can get me in trouble. I want to talk about that today, plus Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, a cool record I got in the mail, and tons more. All right, 33ers, how the heck you doing? Hope you had a great week. I got something cool coming up for you where I recently got a tour of the Vinyl Storage Solutions warehouse here in Winnipeg. And this place was big. It was bigger than I thought. It's a really cool operation. So I brought my camera with me and I'm going to take you behind the scenes. That video is going to be coming up, I think in 2 weeks. What else can I tell you about? Okay, nothing related to music, but I met a personal goal I'm really happy with. Last November, it was a Saturday night, and I was sitting in the basement with friends, as we often do, watching horror movies and drinking whiskey. I remember resting my drink on my belly, and I thought, ugh, man, I gotta do something about this. So under the influence of a few cocktails, I blurted out, who in this room wants to go on a weight loss challenge with me? And one person, my friend Mark, agreed. And we challenged each other to lose 20 pounds by June 1st. And if we weren't able to, or if the person who wasn't able to would have to walk around the block shirtless and backwards, which I did not want to do. I didn't want to do that to my neighbors. So I'm happy to report I lost 20 pounds and I feel a lot better. Prior to losing that 20 pounds, I remember walking upstairs and losing my breath and that kind of stuff. So I dropped from 194 to 174. My doctor tells me my ideal weight is 165. I don't know if I'll ever make it to 165. I haven't been 165 like in 30 years, but I still want to keep going. I want to hit 170, I think. So nothing to do with music, but I was pretty happy with myself for being able to do that. And I didn't do anything drastic. I still socially drank my Crown Royal once in a while, still socially ate out once in a while, but I just counted calories and limited what I took in based on calories. So yeah, anyway, I'm pretty happy with myself. I'm happy to report my friend Mark succeeded as well. So if any of you are looking for any inspiration to lose that extra 20 pounds, I'm telling you, it's doable and it doesn't have to be like this whole dramatic thing. Just count calories, watch what you eat, and you'll get there.
Channel 33 RPM.
All right, this is cool. I got this sent to me by the folks over at Sony Music. This is the newest release from Mandoki. I hope I'm not butchering that because I'm known for butchering names. Mandoki Soulmates, A Memory of Our Future. And this is kind of like prog to jazz rock, kind of jazz fusion, that kind of thing. And it stars a whole who's who of notable and awesome musicians. They list them all here, but the list includes Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, guitar virtuoso Al Di Meola, members of Supertramp, members of Cutting Crew, drummer Simon Phillips, who's played with The Who, Toto, Joe Satriani. He played on Judas Priest Sin After Sin album. Just a who's who of awesome musicians. And the cool thing about this record, and I can't recall any other modern records offhand where they've done this, but the entire album was recorded and produced in analog form. Everything from the first note to the pressing of the vinyl, pressing of the records, it was all analog. So that's pretty cool. You don't see that too often. And it's a beautiful pressing, man. 2 record sets. There's the record. There's the back. Gatefold. Comes with a booklet. Right? Bunch of information about the recording. I'm not the biggest jazz fusion guy in the world, but I think it's, for myself, important to have this kind of stuff in my collection because I do enjoy it once in a while. I do dig listening to this once in a while, right? When I want to chill out or when I want to focus on some really interesting and musically diverse music, I'll put it on. Beautiful pressings. Anyway, this is Mandoki Soulmates, a memory of our future. Okay, next up, I want to talk about those late night purchases. I think we have all done these, right? Where you're tired, you go to Amazon or Discogs or wherever, and you order something. And I got real excited, but this is the one I ordered. I got excited when I saw this because I'm a big Judas Priest fan, and this was the only Rob Halford era Judas Priest album I did not own on vinyl. And it went on sale for $39 Canadian, which is $29 US for the black vinyl. So I was like, man, I gotta grab that. I gotta grab it. I clicked on buy now, and I was so excited. And I woke up the next morning and I realized, and I had totally forgotten about this, that I already had purchased the deluxe CD for this album with the bonus tracks. And my plan was not to buy the record because I bought the CDs. The record was initially like $60 here, $70. It was super expensive. So when I saw the price drop, of course I was excited, but I totally forgot. I already owned this on CD. And if I'd remembered that, I probably wouldn't have bought the record, but I did. So now I have 2 copies, and I guess the CD has the 4 or 5 bonus tracks there. So I'm justifying this in my mind. But again, it reminds me, I got to be careful when I'm really tired and buying stuff. But the record's cool. My initial review of this album a few months ago was that, you know, it was okay, but I did not love it as much as some people did. Some people were saying, like, this is the best thing Priest has ever done. And I still prefer the album that came out prior to this one. But there's some good tracks on here, man. Panic Attack, The Serpent and the King, Crown of Horns, As God Is My Witness. Some good tracks. To me, some are still forgettable. Some of the riffs do blend into one another. But I'm happy to say my trend of getting every Rob Halford era Priest record on vinyl continues. Okay, this one. I talked about this one last Friday, where I said I finally ordered the Black Sabbath Anno Domini 1989 to 1995 box set, and it finally arrived since I shot that video. But interesting, have you heard this? This album actually landed Black Sabbath on the album charts again, in the top 10. This album was number 10 on the top album sales chart in the US, with 7,200 copies sold in its first week. It also debuted at number 11 on the vinyl albums chart and number 15 on the top hard rock albums chart. This box set is hugely popular. I'm not sure if they anticipated that demand, because now I am seeing it sold out. I bought this directly from the Warner Brothers store because they had a 25% off sale. Now it's sold out there. I see it on Amazon, but it's a lot more expensive now on Amazon. So what did I think of this album? Let me show you what's inside of it first. Got the main records, right? Black Sabbath, Headless Cross. You got, I should do these in order, shouldn't I? You got Tyr, Tyr. You got Cross Purposes, and you have Forbidden. This album artwork, by the way, is pretty horrible, but it is what it is. So out of all of these, well, I should show you what else is in the box. You got this nice booklet. It's a lot of information in here. It's a good size. I haven't read it all yet, but it kind of takes you through the story of each of the albums. It's got a giant poster. I'm not going to open it here, it's big, but of the Headless Cross album cover. And it comes with a replica tour book from the Headless Cross tour. So, nice bonus items. Okay, how would I rank these? Out of these 4, my number 1 favorite is the Headless Cross. And as I said in my video last week, That whole Tony Martin era of Sabbath is something I largely ignored during this period, 1989 to 1995. They just did not really resonate in this part of the world, or at least in my group of friends. And I remember at the time, the rock media coverage of Black Sabbath also contributed to that, because all the stories were like, oh, Tony Iommi can't keep the band lineup together, another lineup of Black Sabbath, another lineup of Black Sabbath. And he wasn't really getting a lot of love on this side of the Atlantic. So this album was relatively new to me. I was familiar with bits and pieces, but I had never really sat down and focused on this album. And I gotta say, it's really, really good. There's so many good tracks on here. The title track, Headless Cross, is killer. Devil and Daughter, When Death Calls, so many good tracks. So I'd rank that as the best of the four. By the way, these pressings are dead silent, no scuffs, flat, really good. So what do I rank the second one out of this? I had to think about this one, but I'm going to go with Cross Purposes, because Tony brought Geezer Butler back into the band for this album. And the bass is nice and high in the mix. You can really hear and feel Geezer's influence. So it's cool to have Geezer back. This album is a product of its time in terms of production, 1989. A lot of reverb. This one's a lot more drier. In some ways, easier to listen to. So I rank that as number 2. Number 3, I will go with Tyre or Tyr, however you pronounce this one. Outstanding track on this one, in my opinion, is Valhalla. Great song. And at number 4, Forbidden. This is an interesting album. This was the only one of the 4 that was remixed by Tony Iommi. I'm not overly familiar with the original one, but a lot of people apparently complained about that original mix. The album is produced by Ernie C. from Body Count, which is Ice-T's metal band. I love Body Count. I think Ice-T's great in that environment. I think Ernie C. is a great guitar player and contributor to that band. But I can see how he wouldn't be necessarily a good fit for Black Sabbath. I guess they're trying to update their sound or whatnot. Actually, the update began on here. This album came out in, what year? 94. You can really hear the grunge influence on here. As a matter of fact, that song Virtual Death sounds like it could have been an Alice in Chains song. But this album sort of continued that Black Sabbath, trying to bring Black Sabbath into the 90s kind of thing. Yeah, but I did dig it. So, a lot of good stuff to say about this set. Some disappointments as well. If I'm being nitpicky, right? This is really nitpicky kind of stuff, because I do love this. 8.5 on 10 for the box set. But in terms of the tour program, it's kind of blurry. Like, it's obviously a scan of the original tour program. It's not crisp. Some of the album covers, too, not very crisp. They seem to me like scans of the original artwork, but it is what it is. And again, totally nitpicking, but I'm pretty sure the other recent Sabbath box sets, the booklets were hardcover, and this one is not. It's softcover. Small thing. I'd have liked it to be hardcover, but ultimately at the end of the day, not a big deal. I'm happy I own this Black Sabbath box set, and if you are able to get your hands on it for a reasonable price, I would recommend picking it up, because it is an interesting piece of Black Sabbath history, an interesting era of Black Sabbath that for the past 20 years has really flown under the radar. So it's kind of cool now to see that era is getting some respect and is actually hitting the charts again, which is awesome. All right, 33ers, what did you think of the albums I showed today? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again on Sunday. Until then, keep on spinning.